Hey everybody, welcome back to How to Renovate. Tyler Fever with Terraform Industries, and as you can tell, we're back at Shady Lane once again. Lots to update you on. We'll start off at the road and work through the back of the house. So we've been waiting for a while for the city to come through the water line. Fantastic news, it's here. Okay, so the other side of the road is where the main water was. They brought the main water line across with a diagonal drill. So they dug a hole, drilled through the ground underneath the road on an angle, brought us out with a new water line. This is the new water box. Inside this cover, down below, we've got a 1-inch connection for domestic, 1.5 inch connection for our sprinklers. So we're all set to bring the water into the house now. We just have to connect the 2 rolls in this trench, which lead into the house, and then we are all hooked up. We do have to put a couple valves in the house. And then right beside it is the storm connection we were talking about earlier. As you can see, all the ditches have been filled in. The sump is now in the driveway, which you can see. We'll take you down there and just kind of explain what it does now that you can. It's in place, and also you can kind of finally see the final grade of the lot. Things have been backfilled and graded a little bit, so it's pretty close to what the final levels are going to be. We have to obviously put some fill in and our pavement or whatever we're doing for a driveway surface, so you can see the sump sits up a little bit to allow for that. Other than that, we're done digging ditches. Okay, so coming back towards the house from the road, behind me you can see that there basically the water lines are there. This was where all those trenches were dug. We had our underground service, we've got our water lines in here, we've got electrical underneath us, we had the storm connection in it. Basically all that's been filled. We've got the final grade of our driveway, as you can see, almost the final grade I should say. We still need some concrete and stuff on top. I think last time we talked we saw some of the pipe and the gravel on top of it, some was exposed. Well, all that's been backfilled, all the gravel's been put in place, all the dirt's pushed back. So you can kind of see this has to come down a little bit. It's a little bit too high against the side of the house, so we're going to take that down just a little bit, but it's really close to the final grades. If you come back to the center of the driveway, you can see our sump. This is what holds the water that comes from around the house and all the rain leaders, comes down, collects in the sump, and then pumps out to the road. So as you can see, it's a little bit below our final grade. We still have to put our fill on here and then whatever concrete we're doing. So we may have to take it down a little bit more, but like I said before, it's very close to final grade. This will also pick up all the water from the driveway. So whatever driveway we have, everything will be sloped back to this basin. It'll all come down, collect here, and then go to the road. Okay, back in the house, you can see last episode we had the tieback on. Now we started to apply the rain screen. The rain screen goes behind our siding or whatever we're cladding the house in. If you come around the side, I can show you a little bit better. On the bottom, you start off with your flashing, which basically covers your foundation wall. Any water that's going to get out is going to drip off and away from the foundation. Then as you come up a little bit, the tieback comes down over top of that flashing, which runs up behind it. Tieback comes down. And then we have, basically it's a bug screen. And this bug screen, what happens is it'll prevent anything from getting up in behind the siding. The strapping goes on, this gets wrapped up around it so nothing can get up in there. But what it does allow is airflow to get up through the actual wall system. So what happens now is when we lay our siding on top of this, you've got airflow behind. Any moisture that gets in behind here has a chance to evaporate and get out. If you come over here a little bit further, we've got boxes that we've built out for our plugs, boxes we've built for outside lights. These all get flashings as well. And then we've put this nice J channel around it, which will allow us to slide our cladding and our siding in behind to give it a nice finish. That basically is the start of the siding part of it. And again, you can see anywhere where we've got it above doors. Again, we want the airflow. So again, we start the bug screen and it's the same as above a window. So it's basically the same. You've got your flashing up behind your tieback, you've got your strapping, your bug screen wrap, and then the siding goes on top of that. So it's a great start. Our next step is getting this inspected, and then we can start doing the siding. Okay, before I take you inside, I'm just going to explain to you really briefly outside. You can see we've boarded up the garage. That's kind of more for safety. But at the bottom, you can see we've actually had the concrete poured. The slab inside is done. We just set up a temporary form to stop the concrete in front of the door. We'll take you inside. We'll show you we've got the garage slab poured. We have the addition poured. And all the plumbing troughs that we dug for the undergrounds are all filled in with concrete as well. Okay, now we're coming back out to the garage. We saw outside how we had that footing. Well, inside you can see our concrete. Behind me, we talked last time about the in-floor heat. There's the piping that will supply the boiler in the mechanical room, which will actually heat the slab of the garage. So you can see the concrete's now poured. We did a pressure test on those lines to make sure there wasn't any holes before we put the concrete down. That was inspected, we've got that passed. You can also see in the garage, we've also started to do a lot of the electrical rough in. We've got the lights in, the plugs are in place, the wires run to each one. So the garage is in really good shape. You can also see, if you come over here towards the electrical panel, we've been doing a lot of the home runs. These are all the supplies that will go to the different rooms. This is for the garage, master bedroom. So each one of them is labeled. Again, they'll get a circuit, and then that will run to each room, operate lights, plugs, whatever we need power to. So we'll take you through the house and we'll show you some of the other things that we've been up to. Okay, so coming back into the main part of the house, we've got a lot of concrete repair here as well. Before we had all the troughs cut, and that was because we needed to relocate drainage for new bathrooms, new toilets and whatnot. So in the main existing house, we had all the troughs dug. At the back of the house where we put the addition on is where we had to put in a new slab. Right now, we're standing on top of those troughs. You can see this one went off to that bathroom. This one came across to the island. And then this one was cut to get the drainage from the master suite all the way around and then back out to the front of the house. So you can see what I'm standing on is the addition. Before we had the insulation and the poly done, we put the new concrete on top. What that did is it allowed us to finally finish our framing. So basically we have our wall that will carry on from the kitchen. We have a doorway which will now lead to the laundry room. And we've been also able to frame up the mechanical room. So now we can carry on. Now we can bring in the boilers. We can get the water line supplies. Here's your 1 inch from the road. Here's 1.5 inches from the road. So those coils that are out in the street are actually brought in underneath the house through the troughs we dug and brought into here. So we can bring the water supplies in. So sprinkler system will be in here, boiler will be in here. But you can also see up above us, all that orange piping. We've actually been able to get some of the sprinkler rough-in done as well. Upstairs is all done. He's got some heads run around the house. Coming a little bit further this way, now we're into the laundry room. And this gives you a really good idea of what's been going on. You can see all the wire has been brought over. We've got the rough-in done. All the water lines are in place. This runs over. It feeds our laundry sink. It's going to feed our washing machine. On the other side, it's feeding a toilet. It's going to feed the shower. So this is kind of a demising wall between the two, so we can run it all through the middle and then spice it off to both sides. We also have power brought in. That's for the washing machine. We need a bigger supply for the dryer. So you can see we're probably about 90% of the way through the electrical rough-in. We're about 90% of the way through the plumbing rough-in. So we're getting really close to kind of moving on to that next step of having the framing inspected and then the insulation going in. So things are moving along really well. I'll take you back out and I'll just show you a little bit of the upstairs where we've roughed in some sprinklers and the electrical and plumbing's been done. Okay, so we brought you upstairs just so we could show you a little bit of the sprinkler system. This 1 inch pipe, the orange pipe here that we saw downstairs in the mechanical room, it's feeding the whole house. So this is tied in back to the mechanical room. It will come up, comes to a T. One of the heads is going to be on the hallway side. The other head will be on the bedroom side. This head will feed the hallway side. So if we have a fire on this side, that head will heat up, it'll blast and spray this side. It also tees in and comes across, and you can see on this side of the wall will be the bedroom. So if there's ever a fire in the bedroom, this head will go off and it will extinguish the fire on that side. So throughout the house, they've designed the system that wherever there's a head, it's big enough to spray and cover the room. So each bedroom has one, the bathroom has one, the hallway has a couple, just so it's planned out so that basically the whole house, if there is a fire, one of these fire heads will cover it, spray out, and put the fire out.